Hey guys, what is up? It is No Help and welcome back to another video today. So the other day I was reading through a bunch of my comments and somebody had a suggestion for the game that I think could be huge. I just spent the past 20 minutes trying to find the comment. I can't seem to find it, but the idea was very interesting. It was area locked accounts. Now, this has been done on YouTube, obviously, several times. Probably the biggest example I can think of would be the Settled series Swampletics, where he was stuck in Mauritania for 2 years, I think, 2 to 3 years, and then eventually took on the Theater of Blood. He did all of this with staying in Mauritania the entire time. This means leveling all of your skills, only doing certain quests, only being able to do certain clue scrolls, and everything has to be done in that exact area. Other series that come to mind when thinking about this is Verf. He did a Karamja locked account where he was only allowed to be on Karamja, and I believe he eventually took on the Inferno. Another one was a guy who basically was in the desert the entire time. I'll go ahead and put it up on screen right now, where he was locked himself to just the desert and eventually took on the Tombs of Amasket. Now sure, anyone can go ahead and make their own quote-unquote snowflake Ironman account where they go and do this themselves, right? But if they don't make like content on YouTube or whatever, right, it doesn't really have a full purpose unless you really want to challenge yourself. Now, back in the day, Bodhi was kind of the guy who invented the Ironman game mode. He had a one-man army series on YouTube where he was an Ironman, right? He did everything himself, and this was a huge series, very popular, and it made a ton of other people want to try it out. The problem with this is it was never official, right? Like anyone could say that they had like an Ironman, that they've done everything themselves, or that they've been in this region the entire time and they never left, but you can never really prove that, right? So Jagex went ahead and made the Ironman game mode official, where you actually can't access the Grand Exchange or trade other players, and this game mode is very popular. I honestly think if it wasn't for the Ironman game mode, I would have a lot less interest in Runescape in general. Now, the reason I love it so much is because it's actually challenging and I still get to learn new things every single day. You can easily max an account, multiple accounts, and do a bunch of bossing and stuff, but do you really know how to make those potions? Do you really know how to gather those random little items? I didn't, and I definitely learned a lot. Old school RuneScape does extremely well with brand new game modes that come out. Like I said, Ironman is one of the most popular game modes to this day. Whenever a brand new leagues comes out, it is super popular for a couple of months, and it makes RuneScape get a ton of new players. If you're into PvP, Deadman mode is probably your favorite game mode out there. Now, what if Jagex went ahead and made area locked accounts an official game mode? I know this might take a lot of work and there need to be like a ton of separate high scores, like the Lumbridge accounts, the Varrock accounts, right? It would be very, very cool though, and I think a lot of people could like this. Now, I don't know if it would be possible technically to do it for every single town or every place in the game, right? Because some areas are locked by quests and stuff, but maybe they could have the quests automatically unlocked or something like that. I don't really know how this would work, but I think it could be huge for the game. Just like all the series on YouTube, you'd have to find your own unique ways of training, and then it might like bring some dead content back to life where people be doing it because it's the best in that region to train this skill, you know what I mean? This would be extremely challenging too, right? You know, people who've maxed an Ultimate Ironman might even find this game mode to be difficult, right? Because at least with an Ultimate Ironman, you have the entire map, right? This, you wouldn't have the whole map, right? And you could set yourself goals too, right? Like for example, like the Swampletics, it was the goal to actually do the Theater of Blood at the end, and he did it. Now, I'm trying to think if there is like one city in particular where you could actually max an account. I'm sure there is a place where you could train every skill in the game, right? But it might be very slow methods, but it would be cool to see somebody like max an account in one town. You know what I mean? That's just insane to think about. I think obviously it wouldn't have to be like one town, maybe it would have to be like an area, right? Like for example, like the whole desert or all of Mauritania, right? Maybe they could like do it like that so you couldn't access this part of the world, but I think it would just be so cool, especially with all those like one chunk at a time series, just seeing the different like methods that they go ahead and use to progress their account. You'd find so many cool, unique things. And I think this could also be like a really good opportunity to update some certain areas of the game that maybe are lacking, right? That don't have as much content. I've really wanted for a long time for them to make a very low level raid and maybe like a mid-level raid, right? To get people into it at like, say, combat 50 or 60 and then 80, 90, right? I think that would just be so cool. Maybe even similar to how like the leagues work, they could introduce like specific items for these accounts to maybe help them boost along the journey or something like that. I don't know. I always thought like maybe a permanent leagues world would be a cool idea as well. I think this would make a lot of people actually play the game that maybe don't have enough time in their real life to spend thousands of hours grinding to achieve 99s and stuff like that. But there's obviously problems with that too, right? You wouldn't want the community to be so split. It's already so split with RuneScape 3. I guess that's kind of just like a private server, right? I always thought like the leagues were like a private server, but if they had like a permanent one, like how many people would just choose to play that all the time versus the real game? I don't know. I think it's definitely a decent idea, and I think if they were ever to do something like this, they would maybe release certain regions, like only a couple at the start to see how it goes, you know what I mean? There's a lot of smart players in this community that will find like crazy weird methods to achieve anything that they want, right? I think Rendy is a very good example of this. He always goes like out of the way to do these crazy type of account builds, and like I think he's the guy also who got a level 3 fire cape as well as that exact guy. Like they just work out these insane methods to achieve things, and I think anything's really possible in this game. So I think it would be such a cool update to have an area locked Ironman account where you are just part of this town and that's it, and you can't leave and you got to do everything there. When I first started my Ironman, I valued like random little items that I wouldn't have ever cared about before, right? Like when I first got like an adamant axe, I was like, oh my god, I can chop trees faster now, right? Or a rune scimitar drop, I'm like, I can train combat efficiently. And I think it's just such a nice, fresh feeling to have that excitement about a game that you've been playing for 15 years. I've been playing my Ironman account for 6 years now. I've maxed the account. I've done everything really that I wanted to. There's a couple of raids I still need to do and a bunch of items I still want to collect, but it kind of feels like a main at this point, right? Because, you know, I've got the potions, I've got this, I got everything I really need. I did start an Ultimate Ironman account. I didn't really get too far with it, but maybe I will continue that in the future. But I'm so excited for the brand new leagues to come out, and I just feel like this area locked account could really spice up the game and just make it so fresh again. Another thing too is they could make area locked accounts a temporary game mode as well. I mean, I don't know how different this would be from, say, the Trailblazer League or anything like that, but I don't know. I feel like if they were permanent, it could be something cool, because a lot of people don't try the leagues out because it's not permanent. The first 2 leagues, I was so focused on my Ironman account that I was like, that's a waste of time. But I played the 3rd one, and it was a blast. Probably one of the most, or probably the most fun I've had on old school RuneScape in a very long time anyways, right? I guess besides for like learning raids and stuff like that, but it was a ton of fun. I think, you know, life's too short. You shouldn't focus on experience and gains and this and that all the time, and actually have some fun with the game from time to time. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the video today. Let me know down in the comments below if you would like area locked accounts. I think it could be quite interesting. Would be good for the game long term. Like I said, the really negative to it is splitting the community even more, because these would probably have to be on separate worlds, right? Maybe not, but I don't know, maybe they could put like a barrier up or something where you can't leave, or you know what I mean, like they did in the leagues. But I think it could be a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya later.